Hello again folks, thanks for tuning in to another one of my videos. So today I've got another Yamaha SR500 Stator come in. I thought I'd do a video on repairing one of these. It's the repair on them is pretty much identical to what I've done on other videos, like the Honda CB250 Super Dream. The stators are almost identical. So yeah, I thought I'd do a quick video on how I diagnose the stator, because this one's got a fault on it, and how I repair them, you know, strip them down and rewind them. Now, I find a lot of stators that I receive for these types of bikes, there's absolutely no need to do a complete refurbish on them. I don't think it's necessary, because 90% of the time, 9 out of 10, I get in all the charging wires, charging circuit, and other bits and pieces on are fine. So I find it's generally only really necessary to rewind the coil that's gone down on it, and generally that's the main low speed source coil. So that's the one I end up doing, or whatever's gone on it. Like I said, there's, you know, I find there's no point in doing others if I consider them to be in good condition, and I will, you know, consider them that they were going to last a lot longer. So okay, then we'll get down to brass tacks and get the camera up a bit closer and do a few diagnostics on the ignition circuit on this, and we'll also check the charging, basic charging test on it. Well, you know, check the circuit for its operation, really. Make sure it's not shorting out the ground or anything like that, which is a basic test you can do. Other than that, they don't really fail on anything else on the charging, really. So yeah, we'll get the camera up a little bit closer and we can go through a basic test procedure. Right, okay, here we are. A bit of a closer view of the stator. So right, we've got two plug connectors on the end of this one. Now, over the years, a lot of stators don't have these on them because they end up getting butchered, or, you know, people replace them. But anyway, this one looks like it's got the OE connectors on it, although they have overwrapped it with some tape anyway. But anyway, okay, right, so this black one here, I don't know whether they're black on all of them, but anyway, this black one here is the ignition side, and this one is the charging side, the 3 AC circuit. So ignition there, charging there, except for one wire, which is the neutral light wire, comes out there, goes into the switch on the engine. So you've got 3 charging wires. Let's just do a quick initial diagnose on that. So we've put the ohms meter on, make sure we got continuity between all 3 phases, which we have, and hopefully we've got nothing going to ground. Right, so we've got nothing to go to ground. So that's pretty much concluding that that charging circuit's okay on that. Right, now moving on to the ignition, we've got several circuits on here. We've got the low speed source coil here, just the one on the SR500, and we've got the one high speed source coil here. We've got the internal ignition advancer here, and we've got the external pickup coil here. Now, one or more of these ignition circuits, you know, coils can fail, but generally it's that one. So what will the low speed source coil? So what we'll do is we'll find the corresponding wire that comes to that. First of all, let's also check that we've got a good ground on the stator, which I believe is that middle one just below the tab there, which is a black wire. We'll put that to ground. We've got no resistance on that, so we've got a good ground on that black wire in the back there. So if the plug connector is still OE, then we'll do a test on the low speed source coil. That goes to ground on the windings, but it also loops onto the high speed source coil. So let's do a test on that. So that goes into that one on the far left next to the ground. If we can get it in there, and we'll take a reading on that. That should be over 300 ohms. There you go, that one's showing about 150, 149, 150 ohms. So that one is showing low. Like I said before earlier, that one is the most common one to fail. Now, because that one is looped in, as I said in previous videos, like the Super Dream 250 ones, as I said in those videos, it might not necessarily always be that coil. It could be something to do with the connection on the high-speed source coil, because it's looped onto the high-speed source coil. It's sort of like it loops into that coil there, where that coil goes around and comes out on its own wire. So to check the high-speed source coil, we need to remain in that left-hand one there, the low speed, and connect that one there, which is the bottom left, so it's the one below it. And we're looking at 5 ohms, which is what the manual says. There's not many turns of wire in there. There's about 350 plus turns of wire in that, what thicker wire, whereas the low speed one's got thousands of turns of wire in it. Okay, so the last two to do is the ignition. Do the ignition pickup, the pickup first. So that is also grounded. So we'll stick that in the ground connection, and that one is the bottom right one. And that one's running at around about 90 ohms, which is about right. Not far off the mark. 87 I think is what they specify, with a 20% deviation on it. So that one's showing that's okay. Now we need to check the internal advancer, which is this little horseshoe shaped device here. There's actually 2 wound parts to it, one there and one there. It's actually grounded inside, so we need to check the connection and the coil where it comes out on this blobbed over bit of epoxied over wire on this terminal here. So we need to check between ground and that wire output there, which is the one in the middle below the ground terminal inside there, and we are getting 16 ohms, which is bang on the nail, which is correct. So technically these, I would say these coils, the initial pickup coil, the high speed coil, and the advancer coil is showing correct readings, but the low speed source coil is not. Anyway, it looks like this one's been done before. In fact, it has been done before, because I can tell that's not an OE coating on there. So what we need to do is get down to the workshop and just diagnose that it's not anything to do with this connection here going to ground, which is causing that to give us a poor connection. The way I'll do that is disconnect the wire that loops around the back to it, and then take a reading and see if we're getting a ground reading on here, because if we are, that will then give us a false reading on here, and it could be a matter of just winding that coil and no need to wind that coil. But generally, if it is faulty, I do that one anyway. But we'll see, get down to the workshop and try it out, and just diagnose a little bit further. Okay, so we'll get down to the workshop and go from there. Okay, so I've removed the stator from the back plate, this one here. There are a couple of different types. I've seen some with slotted holes on it, and where it's connected, the stator is actually on the plate, is in a different position. So yeah, the only thing you've got to do is to remove that stator from the back plate, other than unscrew it, is unsolder the wire. This one's been done before. Usually there's a solder joint in here somewhere, but somebody's cut the wire. I'll put that back on where it comes off, so we'll get that out of the way. Move those others up out of the way. Okay, right, so yeah, this is the culprit, or we believe to be the culprit, but I'd like to pinpoint it a bit more just to make sure it is not that high speed source coil, which is that one there. If it is giving us problems, that coil there, then with these stators you have to go in quite deeper, because these charging wires cross over that coil, and it's difficult to get at, and you can actually see the wire just there where the wire comes out of that coil, and they're hooked over these charging wires, and it's very awkward to do, so fingers crossed it's not going to be that. That's right, so let's get back to this coil here, which is the low speed source coil. So it's obviously been done before, it's not original, because generally the wire actually starts to start the turns of wire on the ground, do so many thousand turns on it to get your resistance up to where it should be, and then the wire generally used to come out on the front on these, on the OE, when it's in the original format, comes out and loops around and comes up to the high speed coil. But for some reason, when it was rewound last time, we don't know who done it, they've had it coming out on the back. Not that it makes any difference, as long as you've got your turns of wire, it comes out, the wires come out and, you know, and connect up correctly, you're alright. But anyway, you can see where it just comes out this wire, and see if we can just break into it and disconnect it, so we can then do an ohms reading on that. Hopefully the ohms reading will remain as it was, quite low. That means that will, but if the ohms reading jumps back up, that means we've probably got a short on that high speed source coil. So we'll break into that. It might take me a while to do it, so I'll shut the camera off now, and when I've done it I'll come back. Right, so I managed to break into that wire. That was the original wire that hooked up on, would have hooked up onto the front of that coil, but they've they hooked it up onto this side, and this is the wire that comes out of this coil. Now let's do an ohms reading from there to ground, and just hopefully the ohms reading remains the same, because if it doesn't, or it goes up, we have to dive deeper into that one. So we get a connection on this wire here. Not getting anything at the moment. Let's just get a decent connection somewhere. There we go. Ooh, we're getting something. Right. Yeah. Keep going, we'll get something in a minute. 173 ohms, that's still showing low, which is good. So with a bit of luck we won't have to dive into that. Now just double check to make sure that coil is not grounding out now. We'll do a check there on ground. No, there doesn't seem to appear to be anything on there. I can't do it on the black wire now, because I've obviously disconnected that when I removed the stator. So yeah, that's not grounding out. So that coil there, the high speed source coil, isn't grounding out, which is good news. But I will do an ohms check through it just to double check. I'll have to find the right colour on here, which I can't remember which one it is. It ain't the pink one, is it? No. Yeah, it is that. That's the pink wire that comes out of there. 5 ohms, so we've still got our 5 ohms through that coil, which is correct. So good job, we don't have to touch that coil, because like I said, it would involve a lot of stripping down and repairing. So yeah, we got to tear that one apart. Now I won't go into showing stripping that down, because if you go to one of my other videos doing a Honda CB250N Super Dream one, if you're bored for about 50 minutes, there's a video on that, doing the same procedure on this. But once I get this one all stripped down, yeah, I'll come back to you and clean it all up, and we'll get it in the winding machine. Right, I got the wire off of it. It looks like all the bloody insulation's come off, the enamel's come off of it. I don't know why that is. I don't know what grade wire they use, but yeah, that's probably why it was given a low ohms reading. And covered it in this bloody woolly mammoth stuff. I don't know what the hell that is. And the epoxy covering they use, God knows what it is. Some kind of gorilla snot, really. But yeah, but anyway, a lot of the insulation's come off the pole, so we're gonna have to re-insulate that. I'll go and bead blast it, and then we'll get it covered up with some epoxy and sort it out. But yeah, whoever done it last time, I don't think it would have been anybody over here in the UK, because guy sent it to me from Sweden. So yeah, so okay, I'll crack on with it. Okay, that's all the winding done now, so it's just got over 4,000 turns on there. So we'll do a resistance check now between the wire going in and wire coming out. So the wire comes in on the little bit of insulation down here from the ground soldered connector. We've yet to connect that up. Goes here, it comes up in there, about 4,000 odd turns there, and then the wire will come out and go on to that connector there, which then goes up to your high-speed source coil. So right, hopefully I can get a connection on it, because it's not always that easy. So we have actually, let's just clean that with a bit of emery. Right, it's always difficult to get a connection sometimes. Right, so we've got a connection on that end. Right, so we're looking, let's see if we can get 331 ohms. I think it's 329 is what the manual says, but that's pretty close. It all depends on the temperature and everything. So yeah, so just over 4,000 turns of wire on there. Let's just do one thing to make sure it's not grounding out within that coil before that. Let's hope we haven't got any continuity. Right, that's okay. On the stator body, that's cool. So we've got nothing there. So that's good. That's all wearing. I'll go and bind it all up now and connect the connections on there, and put that one on the output wire, and then it'll be good to go. Put it back on the stator plate. Happy days. Okay guys, got the stator assembly all connected up and back onto the back plate. So we'll just do some final checks on it. So block connector, we'll check the ground on it. So yeah, showing a good ground on that. So now we'll check the low speed source coil, the one we just rewound. And that's reading about 338. It's a little bit high at the moment because the stator's still quite warm, so that'll drop a bit. We'll then check to make sure we still got our connection on the advancer on the pickup coil. So yeah, we've got 95 ohms on the pickup coil, which is good. Now we'll check the advancer coil. We've got 16 ohms on that, the one in the middle, that's good. So now we'll do a check on the low speed source coil, which is that one, which we should have about, whatever that is, 5 or 6 ohms on that one. So yeah, 5 or 6 ohms on that one, so that one's showing pretty good. And like I say, I expect that one to drop a bit. Yeah, it's coming down slowly now because it's cooling down. So yeah, that'll be around about the 330 ohm mark, which is what it should be. So yeah, test out good, ready to go back to the customer. Hello folks, welcome back. Yeah, so the old stator's all finished now, all back on the back plate and ready to go back to the customer, who funny enough comes from Sweden. So I'll get that back in the post. Hopefully he'll be happy, because it was a bit of a quick turnaround on that, because it only came in yesterday morning in fact. So I thought I'd crack on with it, because I have got a lot of other stuff as well to do, but this was quite a kind of a straightforward thing and I wanted to do a video on it anyway. So I thought I'd crack on with it and get it on the machine and sort it out. So hopefully I'll have that back once I've posted it within a week or two. But yeah, there's, after diagnosing these stators, there's no real need to do the other ones that are in spec. That low speed source coil is the common one that fails on them. Pretty much guarantee that. The others can fail on them, but they either give a reading or none at all on the other coils. But yeah, going back to the original diagnosis, you've got to be a bit careful of that high speed source coil, because if that one's grounding out slightly, it will give you a false reading on the low speed source coil. Not that I've had it happen on an SR500. I've had it happen a couple of times on Honda CB250N, Super Dream, and the 400 automatics, which use a similar stator, a similar design, and I've been caught out on that once before, where I sent it. I did a rewind on the low speed source coil only, connected it all up, and still had a low reading on it, and found it out to be the connection in there was starting to ground out, giving a false reading. So yeah, anyway, saved me waffling on, but anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, I just thought I'd get this one out of the way. There is a more in-depth video on a Super Dream Stator that I've rewound if you want to check out my other videos. The video's probably around about, not getting on for an hour, nearly an hour long, and that goes into more depth on how I rewind more of the coils and clean them up and re-insulating them and so forth. But anyway, I'm waffling on. I've got plenty to do. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.